Join Kane and I as we hunt southern Saskatchewan to fill our 2022 whitetail tags.
Hold on. Wait till he stops skating now.
Bushnell presents Prairie Pursuit, brought to you by Bushnell, built for the pursuit. Ace Outfitting, small town, big adventures. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. JB Sausage Supply, your one-stop shop. Trail Runners Canine Training Center and Labrador Retriever Dogs and Puppies. North Pro Sports, performance archery and arms. And these fine sponsors.
Welcome to this week's episode of Bushnell Presents Prairie Pursuit. Previous to this year, if the land wasn't posted, consent was implied. This year now, with the new rule changes, it's imperative that hunters go ahead and talk to the farmers and get permission before accessing the land. Fortunately, the area that I hunt, I developed a relationship with a lot of the farmers. I was actually able to get permission on pretty much every piece of land that I hunted in the past. So for me, it didn't really change. I will say though, that prior to the season starting, I probably spent just as much time out talking to farmers and scouting as I did hunting. And it started way back in the summer. It didn't start a week before the season. I think for new hunters, my advice would be get out early, go talk to some of the farmers, help out if you can to get that access.
Well, it's opening mornings, November 15th, 2022. Probably one of the most exciting days of the year for me. I always equate that to being a kid at Christmas time. I just can't wait for opening day of rifle whitetail season. Unfortunately for our first morning, the fog rolled in pretty thick, pretty heavy fog. It's beautiful, nice to see on the trees, that ice fog building up on the trees, but not very good for hunting. Like I say, it's 10 o'clock in the morning now and you can just barely see the tree line 100 yards behind me here.
Well, that is now 6 moose we've seen in the first 15 minutes of opening day.
We've seen a couple animals moving, some shadows going through the fog, but that's really about it. So stay tuned. We'll see if we can't get some more action.
It wasn't really a shooter, but kind of a cool buck to see. Hey.
It's 3:30 on day one, November 15th. It was a super foggy morning, super cold. Visibility was next to nothing. It was about 31 degrees Celsius, below zero. So lots of fun.
There's bull moose. Seen 6 cows this morning. And there's the bull.
We just got set up for our afternoon spot. One of our favorite spots here. This is where Kane shot his big buck last year, his first. He wants to come back and see if he can get a second and bigger, of course. What do you think, bud?
I think we should shoot a deer pretty soon.
I'm with you. Let's do it. It's been a pretty good day. Even though the weather's been hasn't really cooperated, we ended up passing up a 10-point buck this afternoon, another 8-point, and a spike horn. So we'll see what the afternoon holds. Hopefully we can get a big buck down here. Stay tuned.
Well, he turns and stands there.
There has to be something in the middle of the day to keep everybody entertained. So, we usually bring the shotgun.
80th chicken I've tried to shoot and I finally hit one of them.
There's lots of birds within the chase and it entertains them.
Nice work. You're just a beast.
Yeah, only took 6 shots.
Well played.
Very similar last year. We took opening day off. We took that Friday off. I picked Kane up at school early on Friday. We had a snowstorm coming in. As we were driving into our farm, there's cattails, and we spotted a couple deer laying in the cattails. When we saw that, we stopped and backed up. We both assumed they were does, and as soon as we back up, a buck jumps up and takes off, and we were kind of caught. So we drove ahead, we parked, we geared up, kind of started walking over the hills to where these cattails were, and right away I'm looking past the cattails, thinking that buck had busted out the other side, and I can't see him anywhere in the field. Again, it's the prairies. I should have been able to see him running for a mile away to see where he went, but I couldn't find him anywhere. And Kane keeps telling me he can see him standing in the cattails, and I can't see him anywhere. So finally, Kane's pointing with his finger. I get in behind Kane's shoulder and line up his finger, and there's the buck standing there about 125 yards away, just staring at us. And sure nice to have that second set of eyes, because if it was me, I probably would have turned around and walked away, but he was lucky enough to spot it. Anyway, it turned out to be a nice looking buck. It was a 5x5, and as soon as Kane saw him, he decided that's the one he wanted to shoot. So I get the camera set up and geared up, and this buck was facing us head on. Kane was set up on his tripod, and it felt like an eternity. It was probably about a minute or two where this buck was just staring at us, trying to figure what we were. Fortunately, the wind was blowing. It was a big crosswind. He couldn't smell us. I think that doe was still around, but maybe a little close to the rut, so he was fairly anxious to keep with her.
Get ready. He's gonna kill.
You can hear me talking to Kane. I'm kind of telling him, get your gun ready, get your sights on, stay on him, follow him.
See him?
And I said, as soon as he turns, you take that shot.
He's gonna turn.
And this deer turned and trotted in 3 or 4 steps.
He's turning. Hold on. Wait till he turns. Stops. Hold on. Wait till he stops. Okay, now. Got him.
One shot.
Oh.
Pretty cool shot.
Now.
Pretty special. He just laid the smack down on that deer and he didn't go anywhere.
How was that, big man?
Nice.
Nice shot there, big shooter. Dropped him in his tracks. Ooh, should we go claim our prize?
He's been using that 6.5 Creedmoor now for the last 2 years. Every deer we've shot for the last 2 seasons was with that 6.5 Creedmoor and the Hornady ELDX Precision Hunters.
Another big buck down.
Outstanding combination.
Well, what do you think there, big shooter?
It's awesome. I haven't seen that deer yet.
Well, Kane just shot his second buck. Dropped him right in his tracks. About 150 yards. We didn't get a great look at him. I'm assuming it's gonna be a nice 4x4, 5x5, something in that class, but
now it's always the walk up to see if it's as big as you think.
it was pretty thick and heavy. It's exactly what we're after. Big buck down. Yes, sirree.
And this one didn't disappoint. It had split brows, a very unique, pretty cool looking buck. And to get it all on camera, outstanding. Super proud of that shot. Super proud of that deer. Super proud of Kane.
That was a thick on this one.
That's a great buck, bud.
Bigger than last year?
I'm close. Oh my God, bud. You gotta be happy with that. Huh? Are ya?
That was quick.
For a young hunter to have that kind of patience and that presence, it was very, very cool, and I'm super proud of that shot that he made.
But that's a nice looking buck, bud. Let's get some good pictures of this guy. We'll get him tagged up, and then we'll get the heck out of Dodge.
Now I have a story.
Yep. All right, this is awesome. 2022, November 18th, Kane just smashed his second whitetail buck. The beautiful mature 5x5. Man, I couldn't be happier. This is an outstanding deer, Kane. There's not many people that shoot deer like that. That's 2 years in a row. You shot an absolute tank. One shot. Congratulations. Well done.
You know, the memories that Kane and I are starting to make out in the field,
Oh, frick. This is awesome. 2 big bucks in 2 years.
you know, that's 2 seasons now in a row where Kane has shot a big buck. He shot one last year, probably in the 150s, a big 5x5.
How is that? Kane, that is an absolute tank. What do you think? Awesome. Is this one of the best days ever?
But when this one came out, I got pretty excited because I knew this was the one I was going to shoot.
And this year, this one will probably be in the 140s.
That's an absolute tank.
Now it was my turn. You know, I still have my tag to fill.
So we're just in a little spot where I've got some trail cam pics of some pretty good bucks. Try rattling for a few minutes. Instead of going in there and busting them out, I'm just gonna stay on the edge, see if we can draw one out. I'll do a light rattle sequence to start, in case there's one close by. I'll wait 10 or 15 minutes. If nothing happens, I'll go a little louder, be a little more aggressive. I'll start raking trees, breaking branches. And if this spot doesn't work, we'll move up a couple 100 yards and we'll do the same thing again. So stay tuned, see if we can't rattle up a big buck.
You know, it wasn't easy. I spent a lot of days out there. Again, just not seeing the bucks that I want to see.
Well, if we were moose hunting, we'd be laughing.
Yeah.
Lots of moose around.
Yep.
Nice to know there's something around, but it's midday here. The whitetail sure have gone to bed since this morning. So we're just going to check a few of my favorite spots. And you know, it's nice when you kind of look at these valleys behind us. With no leaves on the trees, it's pretty easy to see right through. And you know, we spotted 2 moose in here already. But unfortunately, no whitetail. All right, well, we just got back to the truck. Pretty uneventful, did some rattling. We've got some big bucks in the area. I've got some big bucks on camera. I've seen some. Just a matter of looking over a few. Passed up 9 bucks this morning. So they're around, just not what we're after yet.
There was one morning I saw a big buck taking off. Thought he was sat up in these set of trees.
So here's the deal. We spotted a giant buck this morning. I've been sitting on this bush line ever since about 8 o'clock this morning. And a smaller buck just came out. I thought it might have been him, but it wasn't. So I'm gonna gear up, get a little warmer. It's about 11 o'clock in the morning. It's about minus 15 degrees Celsius. And I'm getting cold, so I'm gonna sneak back, get some more clothes on, and prepare to hunker in for the evening.
Well, I'm within about 500 yards of the slough bottom where we saw the big buck this morning. Sitting in a hay field. Just a few minutes, I'm gonna take another little sneak. As you can see, I'm just going through this hay field, kind of one bale at a time. And I'm trying to get up there.
From about 10 o'clock in the morning till dark, I set up on this patch of trees. I was sitting behind a bale of hay from about 10 in the morning until dark. It was about 30 below zero and I was cold. That was probably one of the longest days I've ever had. I sat there, I had little hot shots in my gloves, I had some earbuds on from my phone so I could entertain myself for a little bit, but talk about a long day. And ultimately that deer never came out. I don't know if he kept going, which is possible. I assumed he stopped. But you know, when that last hour, there was quite a bit of action. I think I had 4 or 5 other bucks come in, or come out of those set of that bush. The cattails down below, a bunch of does came out. So it was an entertaining evening, just not the buck I was after.
It was a pretty cool night. just surrounded by bucks. I had 4 different bucks around me, but not the big guy that I'm after. About 2 hours ago, I saw a couple tails slipping out the backside of this, and I'm wondering if that was him. I've been sitting here since about 10:30 this morning, and there's another deer walking off into the sunset.
Deer drive time. It's mid-morning. Nothing seems to be on their feet. There's a lot of wind out here this morning, so a couple guys, we're gonna post up on a big bush. I'm gonna go for a walk, make some noise, see if I can't get a few deer on their feet, and push those deer towards the shooters. It's a pretty common tactic out here in Saskatchewan to do a deer drive. Obviously, safety is number one, so everybody has to know where the shooters are, where the dog or the walker is. So when I'm going through the bush, I like to make a little bit of noise. They know where I'm at. I'm obviously not trying to sneak up on any deer. The goal is to get deer on their feet. So I'm gonna head up, they're in place, and go for a little walk and see if we can't get a deer on the ground. 2 does came out. 1 doe came out near the bottom, and the other came out near the top. So I was in a perfect spot if there was a buck in there. This one came out at about 50 yards, and the other one came out a little further away, but getting closer. Seeing lots of bucks, but all small bucks this year. I don't know what's going on. I've seen 3 smaller bucks this morning, and I think with the wind, I'm gonna tuck down into some of these valleys that I have to hunt. I've been watching a big buck up in one of the areas that I haven't seen him in a couple days, so I'm gonna go check somewhere different, a little change of scenery, because I'm tired of seeing the same deer over and over again. Sitting up in this valley, glassing for deer. I've seen 1 buck cross the field down below, but nothing else moving through these hills at all. I thought maybe with the wind being as strong as it is today, about a 30-kilometer wind, that these deer might have tucked in this valley just a little bit, but I haven't seen a single deer yet. I was hoping this was their playground. That wind sure has a cold bite to it. Holy. It came down to the very last weekend of the season, which seems to be the story of my hunting career. Maybe I'm too picky, I don't know what it is. It was the last Sunday of the season. I hunted all morning, spotted a couple decent bucks, but nothing, again, that I was really interested in shooting. As the rut kicks in, the rut fires up, you never know. You know, deer are moving around quite a bit. You may not have a good deer in your farm, but as they start moving around, things change. And that's what you're hoping for. So every day, you know, you think today's the day.
I'm in one of my favorite spots. I've sat here once this year. We saw a few does, but no bucks. I've probably killed more big bucks in this spot than anywhere else. So fingers crossed there's a big one in here tonight. You can see my setup is pretty simple. It's just a windrow pushed up against the trees. Nothing fancy, but it offers some pretty good concealment and protection from the wind. Today's not a bad day, warmest day we've had yet this season. So it's 3 o'clock. Bucks usually start moving around 4 o'clock, so hopefully we can pull one out of here tonight. Just had the first buck step into the field here. Well, hopefully that's a sign of things to come. Hopefully where there's one, there's more.
I made the decision to go pick up all my trail cameras as I was leaving, and heading back to one spot that I drove past earlier in the day, I spotted a nice big buck laying in the field, a glasses buck. It looked to be a big 5x5, and I thought, well, this is it. This is fate. This is luck. You put your time in, you'll get rewarded. So I geared up and I looked at the map. I had permission to hunt on every single border except for this one. I knew who the landowner was, but I didn't have permission to be there. Something just looked off. He looked injured. I wasn't sure what was going on, and then he did try to kind of stand up, and you could see him fall over, and it became very clear to me that he was injured. It looked like somebody had clipped his back leg. I don't know where he came from. Somebody shot him in a different area, and he ran this far. Fortunate enough for me, we were driving by at the right time, and so I backed out. I was able to get permission from the farmer to go in and finish his deer off, so that's what I did.
All right, well, it's been a pretty long 2022 season. Hunted hard this whole season. This week, the last 5 days, I've been out every single day, and today, on my last day, I was finally able to get this one. I guess you could say I cheated a little bit. I saw this deer wounded in the field and finished him off. There's nobody around, no hunters around, so I finished him off, put the tags on him, and this will be my deer for 2022. It's a nice looking deer, I'd be happy with that. So 2022 is a wrap. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Bushnell Presents Prairie Pursuit.
Bushnell presents Prairie Pursuit, brought to you by Bushnell, built for the pursuit. Ace Outfitting, small town, big adventures. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. JB Sausage Supply, your one-stop shop. Trail Runners Canine Training Center and Labrador Retriever Dogs and Puppies. North Pro Sports, performance archery and arms. And these fine sponsors.